Every time I see people talking about rift hunting and general farming for the legendary Obsidian Armor, it's quite often pretty negative. People don't really seem to like it, and I feel quite firmly in the minority with my opinion of actually enjoying rift hunting. And while everyone obviously has their own opinion, I reckon a lot of people are just looking at rift hunting the wrong way and maybe forgetting a couple of cool things about it. So just wanted to make this video in defense of one of the most underrated and misunderstood types of content in Guild Wars 2. I feel like I'm in a bit of a unique position right now where I have a pretty good idea of the general consensus on rift hunting and farming for the Obsidian Armor, which is the new legendary armor that was added with the Secrets of the Obscure expansion. This guide that I uploaded for it went on to become my most viewed video, and it received a lot of comments as well. And I noticed one sentiment that was more common than any other among these comments. People did not enjoy the content required to obtain this armor. A lot of people felt overwhelmed and unmotivated to do the necessary rift hunting, convergences, and meta events. The amount of times that I read about how getting the raid set or the PvP set was way easier and cheaper to get is crazy. I mean, this was the open world PvE enjoyers legendary armor set. Finally, a set that all players can obtain without having to jump into competitive PvP content or organized instanced PvE content like raids, which many people have no interest in. Of course it had to require a bit more grind or a bit more something, otherwise it'd make those older armor sets obsolete, as this would just be the new, most efficient, cheapest and easiest way to get yourself some legendary armor. Personally, I loved my grind for the Obsidian Armor. I didn't bash my head against a wall to do it. I just casually did some rift hunting here and there, as well as maybe a few convergences a week. And I mean casually. I probably skipped a week or two here and there, and I was mostly only just doing the weekly rift hunting maps, which, if you're not familiar, is just a selection of a few maps which rotate each week, where if you just do 5 rifts in each of these maps, you'd get some bonus essence. These weekly rifts would only take like a few hours of total playtime to complete, which could be done at any time and split up into as many segments as you wanted throughout that whole week. For example, you can do like 1 map per day, which is like 10-15 minutes a day, or you can do like a few maps one day, the rest on another day, the whole lot in one afternoon, whatever you want. And I got all of the essence that I needed by farming casually like this for just a couple of months, roughly. And I already know I'm going to be seeing some more comments like, couple of months, that's still way too long. Like, yes, I agree, to be honest, that's a while, a couple of months. But you have to remember, this is legendary armor. This is the highest tier of armor that exists in the entire game. This is the last set of armor for that weight class that you will ever need to obtain, with the best stats that will ever exist in the game. Like, do you really want to get this by just doing like a short quest line in 15 minutes? Then everyone would have legendary armor and it would no longer be a valuable or impressive item to obtain, which is part of the beauty of legendary items. But more importantly, legendary gear is entirely optional. In fact, Ascended gear has the exact same stats and is way easier to obtain. So if legendary is too much for you, that's okay. You can use Ascended gear forever, and that's totally fine. This is just for the players who want the extra challenge and want to obtain that ultimate quality of life and flashiness that comes with the legendary gear. Okay, now that's all out of my system, that's been brewing up for a while, I think, it's time to talk about rift hunting. It seems like a lot of people were disappointed with this content, and I feel like it mostly stems from 2 main things. Firstly, expectations of what it was going to be like before you tried it. And secondly, the type of content that you enjoy generally. So, expectations. This is the main reason that I was more likely to enjoy rift hunting right from the start. If you know me, you know I'm a big fan of the classic old school mindless MMO type of content. So things that can be done with relatively low brain power, so I can sort of go into autopilot and kill some time with it. Things like core world boss trains, the Bitterfrost Frontier chest farm, map completion and gathering, that kind of stuff. And when Rift Hunting was announced, I was actually hoping for another farm like this. Something you can do with something else going on a second monitor, you know? And that's exactly what I got. Rift hunting is certainly not difficult or complicated. You just find a rift, kill some trash mobs, kill a little boss, rinse and repeat. And it can be done at any time in many different maps with any amount of players for any length of time. Like, this is exactly what I was hoping for. But if you were expecting a highly engaging, complex new type of content that requires a large group of players all sorted into subgroups with boons covered and team coordination to complete, then yeah, you were inevitably going to be disappointed. And I will say something that ArenaNet could have done a little bit better was communicate that, maybe. Communicate that it was not going to be that type of content. But realistically, I'm not sure how they could have communicated that, to be honest. Like, what are they going to say? Hey guys, we got this new content coming soon, but don't worry, it's not engaging and you'll need to have Subway Surfers gameplay playing on the side. Like, I'm very aware that I'm a bit of a niche type of player to enjoy that type of content, which basically covers that second reason as well. So, the type of content you enjoy. Some players are like me and enjoy that mindless grind gameplay, and some people, probably most people, just don't. And that's fair enough. However, I think there are a few things that Rift Hunting has that are pretty cool and unique, which no other type of content has. So let me list some often overlooked features of Rift Hunting and maybe convince you to give it another try. It can be done with any amount of players. It can even be done completely solo, and it doesn't slow you down at all, really, if you have like the right build. It can be started at any time. There's no timer on it that you have to wait for, like meta events or even the Bitterfrost Frontier chest. You can't do that literally at any time. There's a bit of a cooldown period. So you can just log in and immediately start Rift Hunting at any time at all. You can finish at any time as well. You don't have to commit 40 minutes to completing an entire Dragon's End in order to get the good loot at the end. And you don't have to stop after 40 minutes if you don't want to. You can go for any amount of time that you want. It's evergreen content. It will likely remain the best way for open world PvE enjoyers to obtain legendary armor. And even if you don't want the armor or already have it, you're still farming gold. You can craft the essences into motivations, which sell for a profit on the trading post, as well as converting excess essences into other useful items at this vendor in the Wizard's Tower now. And finally, to leave on a bit more wholesome note, it's fun to make it into a weekly Rift Hunting train. I've always enjoyed running trains in this game. A while back I used to run daily meta trains, and you get this lovely sense of community with like the familiar faces that keep popping in. And it's just fun to get together and have a chat while everyone is grinding for some loot, like all at the same time. The weekly maps that rotate give you some extra incentive to do it weekly as well as keep it fresh since the maps change a bit each week. So there you go. That'll just about be enough out of me. Hopefully I've converted at least one Rift Hunting hater with this video. That'll be good enough for me. If you enjoyed it, you know the drill. Do that stuff. And check out this other video where I talk about the one main thing I would like to see changed as we go into this next expansion, Janthea Wilds. It's only a couple of months away now. We're getting there. Alright, get the hell out of here.